Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the LOC
deployment webinar.
A few housekeeping items
before we get started.
Please know that
everyone is in listen-only mode, so you will not be able to talk, but you can submit questions using the chat feature. We will address questions at the end of the webinar if we have time.
Also,
we are recording this webinar, and we will post an online version of the replay shortly after the webinar. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Jerry O'Neill.
Good morning, and thank you all for joining us. As Terry said, my name is Jerry O'Neill. I'm the Director of Agency Operations here at the Division of Liquor Control. I've been in this role for about a year. Some of you I've met on road shows and some over the telephone. For those who don't know me, I assumed the duties from Tom Kappa when Tom retired last summer. So if I have not met you, I'm sure we will in the future. Oops, go back. A number of items we'd like to talk about this morning. Again, there are a lot of moving parts with this deployment, and so we want to break them down for you as best we can. In broad view, the LMP, the Liquor Modernization Project deployment overview. We'll do a warehouse consolidation update. We'll get into each of these in detail. The wholesale sales strategy, the handheld scanner update, and then again, improved agency support. And so we'll take each of these in turn and go through each one in depth. Okay. So the first is through the deployment. We've gone through a very thoughtful rollout strategy, trying to position everyone for success as we roll and deploy through the LMP project. Rollout will begin the week of April 17th. Agencies will be cut over in approximately 8 waves over a 6-week period, 8-week period, beginning in May. We have 2 new warehouses, which I think you're familiar with. One is in Groveport, which is southwest of Columbus here, and the other is in Greene, which is southwest of Cleveland. Those facilities will be opening in April, and then we'll begin delivering to agencies in May. We'll get into a little more detail about that as we go. But as the deployment rolls out, all agencies will be getting their deliveries by DHL, which is our new transportation provider, by the end of June. Okay. We have built-in buffer times into our deployment schedule. So there will be a week buffer after wave 1 and 2, and that will allow us to concentrate on solving any issues that might arise during the rollout.
Just a moment, Jerry. I don't know if people are still on the phone. GoToWebinar is experiencing some technical difficulties, so you may not be able to see anything. I'm working on that right now. Give me just one moment. Yes, GoToMeeting shut down on me. All right, I think we should be back on track here. Now, I apologize, everyone.
We'll go to the next.
All right.
Okay. So again, we'll deploy in waves. What you can expect between now and deployment and during deployment are, one, to ensure that your retail terminals are operational. I know that we've spoken over the last several months whether the agency would use their original or their current point of sale systems and integrate, or they would select a Clover, which is a standalone solution that the liquor agency will, or the liquor enterprise will provide. Ensure that additional hardware is installed and working. Most, if not all of you, have been contacted by a company called RF Works, who is now assessing and installing new wireless access points. So those, if you have not been contacted, you will be here in the near future. You'll transition by placing your final order in the old system or the current system. You'll receive your last delivery. You will attend a training day, and then on the day of go live, several things. You'll get new shelf tags with pricing that's updated. Our auditors, our audit teams will be at your stores to count in new inventory. So we want a clean inventory. We won't be importing inventory from the current system into the new. We'll do a live count on the day that you cut over to the new system. At that time, you will receive credentials to log into the system and access the system, and then actually log in and start using the system, the new system. Finally, you'll complete your first order in the new system, and then you'll receive your first delivery approximately a week to 2 weeks after that date. The next slide just really graphically displays that deployment plan. So you can see on the top waterfall, week 1, we would cut over agencies that are being delivered from the Groveport warehouse here in Columbus. Those agencies will primarily be in the southern part of Ohio, primarily Cincinnati. And then we're going to give a buffer week. We want to get those stores cut over, work out any issues that might arise, and then we'll deploy week 2 with another buffer week. And then, as you can see on week 3, the second wave, the second waterfall, represents agencies being delivered out of the green, or the new Cleveland area warehouse. And then they'll simultaneously roll all the way through June until all agencies are cut over on the new system and receiving their deliveries from DHL. Training is a critical component for the smooth transition on the system. Training will ensure that you'll be able to conduct the sale of liquor once you transition to the new system, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to attend. Our training is being developed as we speak and will be conducted by knowledgeable trainers, folks who are very adept with AX, and we'll also have hands-on exercises so you can practice tasks. This training will be held off-site so you can concentrate on the task at hand. There are several locations throughout the state that have already been identified, primarily Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, and there are additional locations to be announced at a later time. Each agency will get an assigned training date and location just based on where you are in the state and where when your go live date. All these will be communicated to you within 30 days prior to you being needed at the training. Well, we would need at least one person from the agency to be trained. There's room for a maximum of 2 for each agency at this time, so that they can train the other folks in your agency as well. You'll receive training materials and training aids as well at that time. Okay. Obviously, your participation and your partnership is critical. We understand the predicament that you're in today, and we need to know that we are working very diligently to correct that. But you play a key role in that, and communication is critical. We'll have several methods of communicating as to what's happening with deployment, and that would include the Ohio Spirits Weekly, emails from the LMP deployment team, emails from the enterprise staff itself, agency portal messages, and of course post office mail as well. Again, you're critical as part of the success of this rollout, and we really appreciate your continued engagement. There will be a number of tasks associated with Go Live. We've talked about a few of those thus far, the audit counts, et cetera, and shelf tags. And as all those are communicated out to you, as you complete those, that will be a very critical part of the rollout. We talked about the warehouse consolidation update. As we spoke, we're consolidating warehouses from 4 locations to 2 in conjunction with this deployment. Those locations are, again, Groveport here in the Columbus area and Green in the Cleveland area. The benefits that we would see that for the agencies are supply consolidation. So we're going to have more product in fewer places to make it easier to get products to you. There's a condensed time frame from order to delivery, so that's being streamlined. And then deliveries Monday through Thursday. There are no scheduled Friday or weekend deliveries. That's based on feedback from the agencies as we were planning the deployment. Fridays tend to get very, very busy as the weekends approach and as wholesale orders ramp up. And so we were trying to alleviate that from Friday deliveries. DHL is the provider for the warehouses. They're a world-class service partner. They have their headquarters, the U.S. headquarters here in Westerville, so they're very close to us as far as support. They open approximately 450 warehouses every year, so they're very, very well established. They also have specific experience with liquor. They manage the New Hampshire operation as well as Alberta, Canada. And so they're already known to our suppliers, and they already have a track record in this area. And so we'll get world-class service from them. We'll get better order accuracy and on-time deliveries as a benefit to that. Technological efficiencies, as we said, all the information for LMP is going to be placed on one platform, so there's no sharing of information. It's from back and forth with files, so all the information will be available to us at all times throughout the supply chain. One thing you may note is that your delivery day may change. When we consolidate from 5 to 4 days, there may be some, obviously, folks on Fridays who have a delivery day change, and based on the efficiency of routing, others may have a change as well. For wholesale, so the wholesale terminal strategy is set. For those agencies who currently have wholesale customers, you'll receive a new wholesale terminal provided by the enterprise itself. Each one will get one terminal, which is an HP Hewlett-Packard model, which includes a touchscreen monitor, a keyboard, a printer, and a mouse. It is pre-configured to interact directly with Microsoft Dynamics, and so it'll take all of the inventory decrement as you sell through on wholesale orders. It will take that into account. So it is a standalone wholesale solution that should help improve your efficiency in your wholesale ordering. Several benefits on the wholesale terminal solution. It is dedicated to wholesale orders, so your folks can concentrate on that portion without disrupting your retail side. It does improve wholesale ordering because it interfaces with our enterprise system through the wireless access points that we spoke about that were installed or have been installed recently. You'll see better speed, accuracy, and reliability, as well as search functions. It has a new lookup feature where you can use by partial codes or partial name brand or brand codes as well. It's not very big. It's got a 20 by 24 footprint for the terminal, keyboard, and printer inclusive. You'll also receive training on the terminal. This will be included in the deployment training that we described earlier as an off-site day of training. It will be hands-on, instructor-led environment, and we'll use the operating terminals and handheld scanners. Training materials and job aids will be provided as well. And this will be crucial to your understanding of the system. It is a little bit of a change, and we'll cover the tasks and processes that you'll perform on a daily basis. Okay. The terminal will be installed for you. Third-party vendor will install and set up the terminals for you. You'll be notified of that installation ahead of time. The equipment will be shipped directly to your store. You don't need to do anything with it. They'll open it up and install it when the third party gets there. So you don't really need to do anything once it gets there. And the liquor enterprise will also cover the cost of installation of those units. Scanners, as you know, all our scanners were brought back in to be refurbished. So we're using the handheld scanner for several operations in the new system. To check in deliveries from the warehouse, to perform inventory counting, to do inventory adjustments, and then to run on-hand inquiries and to show your physical inventory. They're being prepared for redeployment to the agencies. All the handheld scanners were collected by the auditors, and they've been brought back to Columbus. They've been thoroughly cleaned, re-imaged, and reprogrammed with the Dynamics system and the upgraded software. The scanners have been tested for connectivity, functionality, and battery life. If there are batteries that fail, we'll provide new batteries. And they will be mailed back to you prior to the LMP2 launch. So when you receive the scanner back, we ask that you unpack it and plug it in and charge it up so that it's ready to go when the auditors come to do your beginning inventory. And support, ongoing support. We understand that this is a big change, and we're here to support you. Again, we talked about the training and job aids that will be available to you and your folks on an ongoing basis. We plan to do ongoing communication from several methods that we indicated before, and staff support. This is really critical as we deploy, is that you'll have availability to the liaisons who will be able to visit your agencies across the state and help with go-live activities. And we're going to staff a war room here in Columbus for direct access for subject matter experts and other staff that can help, including Microsoft and other enterprise staff that will be able to help you as questions arise. They'll be thoroughly trained and available to answer your phone calls. Will be a live person answering the phone. We plan to staff that from early in the morning until late at night. And also your liaisons will be available throughout the state for questions and support. And so we're really committed to offering very, very robust support. We're working very diligently to reinvigorate the help desk process and to help agencies throughout this deployment.
Jerry, I think we lost our screen again, but it looks like people are still on there. So I will, as we're doing questions and answers, we will put that support screen back up so people can see that information. All right. All right. I think that is the end of our presentation for this morning. I'm just going to eliminate that echo. So we are now ready to take some questions and answers. It looks like the screen is still not showing, but we'll go ahead and get the information emailed out to everyone. But now we can take some questions. Any of the attendees can submit questions through the questions feature on GoToMeeting. It looks like we have had a few that have come in already. The first question I show is, will there be any testing in agencies prior to rollout? Can you talk a little bit about our testing strategy?
Mm-hmm. So the short answer is yes. We are right now, we've had one iteration of end-to-end testing with the Microsoft people here. Our second end-to-end testing starts today, and that will run for the next 3 weeks. And that testing will include agency operations. So we'll visit an agency who's been installed on with the wireless access points here in Columbus and perform all the functions that need to be performed at an agency, including retail sales, wholesale sales, cycle counting, auditing, all the functions that need, and scan gun, handheld scan gun functions that need to be done. And so those are scheduled to be done next week as part of the end-to-end testing.
All right. The next question that was submitted is someone had a question about when they would receive information about training, since we're just about 5 weeks away from deployment.
So as we said, the first deployments cutovers will begin the week of April 17th, and we are committed to giving everyone at least 30 days notice of when those cutovers will occur and when that training will occur. So you can expect information on training beginning as early as next week. So you should see communications 30 days prior to your cutover date.
Right. Another question came in, will the wholesale computer need a port, or will it connect wirelessly through the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, good question. Yes, it'll be wireless. I mean, it'll need obviously power and power surge protection, but it will be wireless.
Another question is, when will we begin using the wholesale terminals? At the time of setup or when we go live?
So the wholesale terminals will be used in conjunction with go live activities. We don't want to use that; they're not really compatible with the current environment. So once those are set up and you get cut over into the new system, that's when the wholesale terminals would be available to use.
Okay. Another question is, how do we find out who our liaison is? Post on the intranet.
Okay, yeah, that's posted out on the intranet. We'll, if you haven't been contacted, we'll find your contact information and get them contact with you. Do you have the agency number?
The help desk?
No, the agency number.
Oh, I don't see that, but we can get that name and follow up with that person. I'll be able to download the log. So we'll get that to that person.
Okay.
Another question is, if our agency is closer to a new warehouse location, will our providing warehouse change? So which warehouse fulfills their order change?
Mm-hmm. From a high level, it could. Typically won't. For example, Columbus and Southern Ohio will primarily be serviced out of the Groveport. North, East, and Northwest Ohio will be primarily serviced out of the Green warehouse. Obviously, there is a little bit of overlap when you get down north of Columbus and where that line is drawn. But yes, you primarily be serviced out of the closest warehouse.
All right. Another question is, will we be able to continue agency-to-agency transfers?
Yes. That's an important part of the supply chain, is to take inventory that is placed in agency A and getting it to agency B who will need it. So that will be very similar to it is today, but based on a portal requisition or portal transfer order, not to confuse terms, but a portal transfer order as it is today.
All right, so we've got one more quick question. Are they going to be installing our new terminals outside of wholesale operation hours?
Can you repeat that, Carrie?
Are they going to be installing the new terminal outside of wholesale operations hours?
The installation of it would be during regular business hours. The cutover times would be similar to where you have an audit today, where we would want to audit and do the inventory prior to you opening. But the installation of equipment would be done during your regular business hours.
Another question is, so we will is it correct that we will have 2 terminals, one for wholesale and one for retail?
So yes, if you've selected the Clover solution, you'll have a standalone retail solution, POS solution, and that's 1-for-1 for the number that you had, as when we did the count, and then you'll have a wholesale terminal, which is just for the wholesale operation itself.
All right. Another question is, we were told that DHL would be visiting stores. Is that still happening?
That has happened. DHL sent their supervisors over the last, it was about between the last 3 weeks, to each store to look at the configuration of the store, the delivery, what kind of truck it would take, whether it be a dock unload such as a big box store, or if it would need a lift gate. And so those have all been done.
Another question is, we have heard that there will be no more rush deliveries. Is that true?
No, it's what we know is a rush order today. Now, there's still going to be a mechanism to make an emergency delivery. It's not in the same configuration as the rush orders are done today, but there will be a mechanism for folks to get something on an emergency basis.
Another question is, back to the DHL questions, what if an agency wasn't visited by DHL yet?
If you can let us know which one, that we were told they were all visited, but if not, I'll follow up with Paul.
All right. I'm going to group a couple questions here. People have asked about when they will know what date they will go live, when they'll find out information about their new delivery day, and when they'll find out what day they're assigned to training.
Mm-hmm. So all of those go together, so thanks for putting them together. We have just received the final deployment schedule from DHL on their routing, their new routing. And so we're in the process right now of matching that up with the new delivery days and when they can make their first deliveries from the new warehouses. So we should have that finalized by the end of this week, and we would like to share that with agencies as soon as possible. As soon as we get that finalized, and it should be done this week.
Another question is, are agencies required to use the scanners for delivery, or is this optional?
For receipts, yeah, the scanners will be used for receiving in product. For the wholesale, you can use the terminal as well.
All right. Well, I think we've been on for about half an hour now, so we'll go ahead and end the webinar. There are a few questions that came in that were specific to agencies, or they had provided some information about agency numbers. So what we can do is collect those FAQs, answer those, and get those out to everyone. Wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. We will have an online replay of the webinar available online shortly. Again, thank you for attending.